Hey, so this is gonna be my first ever vlog. I'm gonna go to San Jose for my birthday. What's in San Jose? Well, I'll tell you. It's gonna be San Jose Regionals for Dragon Ball Super card game. Yeah, this game's fun, dude. So yeah, we're gonna head out there. First, I gotta pick up my two buddies there as I'm driving. I'm vlogging this. This is kind of fun. So yeah, it's gonna be a 350-mile drive there. So hopefully by the time we get there, we'll be safe and sound. We rented out Airbnb. It's gonna be pretty cheap. Yeah, that's the future that we live in. Cheap hotels or a cheap place to sleep over, and cheap travels because I can drive there. So I'll vlog the second time when I pick up my two guys. Peace. Guys, okay, so these are the two guys that I'm bringing.
What's up?
I made a post earlier, or not a post, a video earlier.
Word.
Yeah, so we're gonna go to San Jose. It's gonna be a fucking 3.5-hour drive.
3.5.
We got some snacks, got some M&Ms, soda, chips. I think we're ready for the road here.
Hell yeah.
So these two guys, should I let them know that they're super players now?
Andy and I have just been inducted into Super Players.
I'm not, because I'm not cool enough.
This is gonna be our first tournament with Super Players, so we'll see how we do.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll catch you on the road. Bump it, Andy.
Sick guy, dude.
Ring, ring goes the telephone. There's no one home. Ring, ring goes the telephone.
That's so illegal.
There's no one home. 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 Ring, ring goes the telephone. There's no one home. Ring, ring goes the telephone. There's no one home. There's no.
Hey guys, we finally made it to San Jose, and we're gonna have some Korean barbecue tonight. So check it out. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, we're kind of hungry. We already checked into our hotel. We were supposed to film when we got in, but you know, fucking terrible. I took a shower and then I forgot. But we're hungry, so we're gonna eat now. Hopefully we'll get some grub on. Hopefully this place is good. Yep. See you guys later. So we're here at Jen right now. We just had like maybe 9 rounds of beef at Jen, and I just tapped out like after 5. I ordered the same thing, spicy bulgogi, and everyone here ordered that. Also, there's been like 3 birthdays here, so like people have been celebrating their birthday the same day. Like, what's the coincidence? It's also my birthday too tomorrow. Pretty crazy. Yeah. So. That's the update.
Sounds good over there, bro.
Other exciting plans in store too. This is going to be a big year for the Dragon Ball Super card game, and we want all of you here at the forefront. With that in mind, have fun and enjoy this tournament. Thank you.
Alright, do me a favor, take out your deck list. You're going to pass them towards the stage. Face down. I hope you all made sure your name was on that before you passed it down.
Hey guys, I just finished the San Jose event, and I haven't been actively recording all my experiences, but I was so focused to the event, and I just couldn't figure out when was the best time to record, because every event I was thinking about what I could have done better. Anyway, so I got X3 for the event. I lost in my last round, so I wasn't able to make top 32. So I was really disappointed. It was a hard pill to swallow, but I tried my best. Anyways, I wanted to share you guys my deck profile video. I made a rogue deck with Son Goku as my leader. I thought he was the best leader that could stand up to the Mecha Frieza format, because the Mega Frieza format is so saturated with exactly the same strategies, and I felt like there had to be another way that I could build my deck to stop all of the decks from winning. So I thought Son Goku was the best because of his ability to untap 3 mana at the end of my turn, which means I can play on curve. I can play really strong battle cards on my turn and attack, and at the end of the turn I could use stellar defense in my deck. So first I'm going to go over the deck list, and then I'll talk about my matchups after. So see if I can stop this. So this was my deck right here. I nicknamed it Grub because it runs 4 colors. It runs green, red, blue, and black. So if you put the acronyms together, it spells out Grub. And funnily enough, the the order of the acronym Grub also orders the amount of cards per color. So on my left here, I have about 11, 13, 16, 18 green cards. And on my next one, I have 4, 8, 11, 12. So 18, 12, and 14. Oh, I guess I don't have it in order. That's strange. Hold up. I think I miscounted. That's 13, and this is... Okay, I guess I don't have an order. Yeah, I guess my previous build I had it in order, but I guess I tweaked it a little bit the day before the event because I felt like I had a bad 8 matchup. I ideally designed this deck so that I can have a good veggie matchup. I felt the veggie matchup was an easy matchup because of the way I designed it. So I'll go into the deck profile first. So I play 4 of these trunks. I thought I ideally built this deck around the Go 10 and the trunks and the Mighty Mass engine. I felt that this was one of my favorite engines of the game because the card pool that this guy accesses is phenomenal. I can access these Go 10s who can well, this one can deal with the meta pretty well, but I only play once and it's searchable. But I ideally wanted to play this guy so that I can use him to kill Kabas and Khalifas. The setup with the Mecha Freeze or Mecha Veggies. Ideally, I can go turn 1, use Mighty Mask, and then search out him and this Go 10 on my first turn. And on my second turn, I'll have 3 mana because I'll be charging 1 green, depending on what I get off of his RNG. And then once I have that, all I would do is attack with this guy, assuming that they have their board set up on turn 2 with Khalifa and Kaaba, and he would kill a 3 or less on his attack just by revealing him. And on my combo step, I would just pay 1 more mana to kill another card, which is Khalifa. So Kaaba, Khalifa, or Khalifa Kaaba, doesn't matter. Another cool thing about this engine is that I also play psyched up Go tanks. Now the veggie matchup, they play that their setup is their Kaaba with Shugesh into Kale. However, Kale only kills 5 or less. So I designed this deck so that I could play a 6-drop psyched up Go tanks. This allowed me to play around Kale because Kale, like I said before, only kills 5 or less. And I can bring this guy out in turn 4 because his effect is I drop 2 one Goten and one Trunks Youth from my hand to play him for 4 mana. And since I'm dominant in the amount of green cards in my deck, it's likely that I'll hit a green card off of his ability, and by turn 4 I should be able to bring this guy out. And ideally, if I have already awoken, I have essentially played him for 1 mana on my turn. Ideally, sometimes I don't get that chance, and yeah. So if I play him on turn 4, on turn 6 I can play him for full mana cost, which I often did in the event. He becomes a Prince of Speed plus a Beerus that can destroy any card on the board when he comes out. His stats is really nice. He also has Double Strike. He was definitely one of the best cards in all my matchups because of his ability. And this is an attrition leader, so I'm always gaining attrition by playing this guy every turn. And then this guy too on turn 5. So after I play this guy, ideally I can play this guy on turn 5 or turn 4 because I'm a mana ahead. Depends on if I go first or second. Yeah, and then I was testing this deck extensively, and I had the worst like 8 matchup, and these were before Jiren's, but I found that Jiren was very lackluster when it came to taking down the Barrier Vegeta. Barrier Vegeta was extremely difficult to get over because he can combo all the Saiyans in his hands for free, and they play this in 4s, and they play all the apes in their max numbers except for Tora and Fasha. So Jiren, as a 30k attacker, was very subpar in dealing with King Vegeta. So I thought maybe I can just stifle them in their tracks by playing this guy instead, because if I play this, they're more hesitant to attack me because they know I can just block, and then if they combo to try to get over him to stop me from saving this guy, they have essentially negged more cards from their hand than Jiren would have done, because he's cheaper. So I just thought he was a better, and I board 2 more in my side deck. That's more later. So yeah, that was my green package. Yeah, so here I have the super combos. The cool thing about playing him with this leader is that he can play. I can play defense very well because I have 8 super combos, right? So that means on their turn, with my 3 untapped mana or 4, depending on how much I saved from last turn, I'm able to survive Kale attacks, and because oftentimes the veggie package would like to swing for 20 and that's it, knowing that 20 is often enough. The magic number is 25, but they'll often use Kale to attack, and I use this to get a card out of the way and draw. And one attack goes away, or gets wasted. And then we got our Mighty Mass, and elements of this leader is that I'm able to awaken quicker because I start at 6 life as opposed to 8. So I play Kaba so that I can get to 4 life, and that's when the steam gets going, because being unawakened on this side is kind of hurtful because he's kind of weak in a sense. His first effect is very good, but after that he's just a 10k vanilla until I awaken. So I want to awaken as quickly as possible using Kaba, and Kaba fulfills a lot of purposes. Being a red card, a Saiyan, there's a lot of synergy in this deck because I play him, which allows me to search for Saiyan. And if you notice, a lot of my cards are Saiyans except for this guy, and some of my extra cards, and some of the overwhelm cards. But we'll go into that later. Okay, so yeah, Kaba was very. I definitely thought he was one of the best cards I played in the event because he has aggro elements that allows me to push harder on my turn earlier, so that I could take away time from other decks, especially the mega matchups, which rely on having life as a resource to give them an advantage over a period of 3 to 4 turns, or 5, depending on how far it goes. And then lastly, I want to talk about Leap to the Future. In my initial build of this, I was playing him and Trunks so that Mighty Mass has more targets. But I found that my Trunks search always resulted in this guy than any other search, and him too. And I'd rather just search for him because oftentimes I don't search for these four. I'll often search for this one, and he helps me get any of my Gotens, and it loads up my graveyard for overall. So a lot of synergy in this deck. It's quad color, so I'll go into quad color thinking as a deck choice later on in this deck profile or in this video. But yeah, so I play one. This is what we call the Holy Trinity in blue. One of my favorite decks or leaders are blue leaders because it has the ability to play these defensive cards as a package. Mainly, I value this card a little bit more than these other cards because I designed this deck so that I could push really hard on my turn, and Undealing Spirit Trunks allows me to do that. It gives me more manas to work with, so that I can play more guys on my turn to rid them of their resources in their hand. And ideally, or theoretically, when I awaken with him, I'm able to have 3 extra manas for defense, assuming that my attrition is stifled by by their defense. So this deck definitely wins the long game because of the way I designed it, and it has aggressive elements as well as control. I don't know what to call it. I'm just gonna call it mid range because it allows me to play things on turn 4 and 5, and 6 it caps out. So yeah, these were my defensive, also offensive cards. You want cards that can do both. You never just want cards that can just do one thing. You want cards that can do both. Anyways, so let's talk about the overwhelm cards. You might be wondering, why would I play overwhelm cards? Because I need, for this guy, this effect to go off, I need to have this and this in the discard. But I never saw it as a hindrance. Actually, I saw it more as an advantage. Because overwhelm cards allows me to push a little harder on my turn. And I'm going to go over why I chose a certain number of overwhelm cards in the end. So I played Increasing Evil Mass Saiyan because he's also a Saiyan. So I also played him as well. The reason why I didn't play the other Mass Saiyan was because there was very few incentive for me to play it. It was 1 mana, and yes, it cleared off more things than than I want. I boarded the other 2 anyways. I just felt like the ape deck was a little better than the veggie matchup. And lo and behold, the event was won by apes. So I was right. So I wanted to play this version. He can target apes. The thing I didn't like about the other Mass Saiyan was that he couldn't target blockers. Most of the apes were blockers. So I found like he was subpar versus these 2. And plus, these 2 helped me awaken as well. So oftentimes in my opening hand, I'll keep one of him and 1 Kaba so that I can awaken this guy earlier. Yeah, so, and they're all Saiyans. These guys are Saiyan too. I only played 1 of him because I didn't know how much to play in quantity for this guy. He's good ideally because I can recycle my all my battle cards, including my super combos. So that was very helpful. And he also double strike. The thing I didn't like about this guy though was that he was 2 mana. I know I'm cheap, but a 2 mana for a 20k that goes away after 1 turn, it was kind of subpar. But I liked it because it gave me options late game, because I can fetch for anything I want depending on the situation. So those are those Saiyans Overwhelm. Now these are the 2 more important Overwhelm cards in my matchups. I'll go over Scientist Fu first. So in this game, you want to be able to see your super combos. So even though I run 8, it's still kind of a low number for me to see the cards I want. So playing Scientist Fu helps me push, and at the same time it helps me see my super combos, whether I want to use it offensively or defensively. That's why I played Scientist Fu. But I didn't want to play more than 1 because, again, I'm playing. I need my discard to be too high. Okay, and then last but not least, he's actually MVP of the tournament. Most of my matchups, I 2-0'd a lot of players because I played this guy on turn, well, when I have 6 mana. So, before I went to this event, I picked up a bunch of these cards because I have a feeling it's going to go up in price. Because he's abusive. He only on turn 6 and 10 overall. He's a Cold Wave. If you guys played Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the days, Cold Wave basically says that you cannot activate anything. No, neither player can activate anything on a spell or trap in Yu-Gi-Oh! But in this one, he shuts off everything on their turn and their turn. So a 30k double striker that shuts off all activated abilities is game ending. Basically, it's a win button. You play him, you win. You play him, and then, assuming I have a board, which I tend to do when I'm playing this deck, I would have a board of this guy and this guy in the same on the same board because they couldn't kill it. And then I'll play him, and then I'll attack. They can't do anything. I untap 1 mana and I play him as a double striker. So I have tons of double strike going in. And the cool thing is when they try to super combo you with their generic super combos, they're zero. They're zero costs. I mean, I'm not talking about zero costs, but they provide 0 because the auto abilities can't trigger. So all their super combos are dead, including the Shigesh. So many games have been won because I play this in my deck. And it's very easy to load up my graveyard with Leap to the Future, 8 super combos, Mighty Mask. So this deck was very, very cool the way I designed it. So I'll go into quad color thinking when I'm done talking about my matchups. So let's end it here. This is the matchup portion of my video. My first matchup of the day was against a friend. He rarely plays any card games because he's very busy. I know his life a little bit, but he picked up the Mecha GT deck, and we got paired up in the first round. The chance of that was astronomical. There's no way that we could have played each other first round, but we did. So his inexperience was definitely used to my advantage with the Mecha GT deck because he often didn't know how to play the deck. The GT deck is heavily reliant on winning in the first 2 turns, and I felt like a lot of the turns that he was doing, he was simply gaining advantage, but he wasn't using his advantage to kill me. He was using it to build the defense. So my first run was to Mecha GT. I boarded the extra Yajirobes in that matchup and Iron Hammer of Justice, and that came in clutch. I thought Whisk Coercion would be a good card to board in against that deck, but it ended up not being very good because I'm playing 4 colors and blue didn't show up sometimes, so Iron Hammer of Justice was a little bit better than Yajirobe. So anyways, I 2-0'd my friend who was playing Mecha GT first round. My second round was to Trunks. The way the hierarchy works is that at the top you have Mecha Frieza at the pinnacle of the triangle, and then Mecha Frieza beats regular decks and other Mecha Frieza decks, depending on their matchups. But most of the time it beats regular decks because of its outpacing ability. And then the other triangle is the aggressive leaders. Bardock and Trunks are the first thing that comes to mind. And Vegeta, I guess, are the aggro leaders I can think of that could take away life points or life totals from the Mecha Frieza, since they're using it as resource. So knowing this in mind, I anticipated playing Trunks as one of the aggro leaders in the match or the tournament. My deck is Rogue, so it doesn't fall within the triangle. It kind of just falls within the person who was able to analyze the meta and then compose a deck to beat the triangle. My deck can beat regular decks too because it has 8 super combos, so it plays on curve and it does very well. So enough bragging. Trunks was easy opponent, I think. I won both my games because I played Fu, Shrouded in Mystery, and he didn't anticipate it. No one ever anticipates other cards in the card pool that are dangerous because it's a late drop. And seeing the speed of the format has deterred people from thinking that they can play late drops in their deck and auto win. So I auto won twice against Trunks because I played Fu on them on turn 6 or turn 5 because he made me go first twice. Well, I won the die roll, and then game 2 he made me go first because he wanted the extra card to kill me because he's playing aggro. It was a weird deck. He was playing Manaka for some reason in Trunks. I don't agree with that at all. If you're playing the aggressive strategy, so that was Trunks. So I two-loaded that deck. My next match was Veggies, and I was really looking forward to this matchup because this is what I designed my deck to do, to beat the Veggie matchup. But unfortunately, I didn't win. I got a 1-2 victory. I won my first game with a surprise factor, and they were unable to see what was going on. But game 2 and 3 was very horrible. Every time I used Goku's ability, I would get 2 black cards, 2 blue cards off the top, and the percentage of that happening is very low. So I wasn't very pleased with my victory or my loss there, but maybe it was just bad luck, and maybe my future Veggie matchups would be better, ironically. So I got 1-2 victory there. It was close though. I could have won the last game had I played my Fu instead of my other Fu. I played the Scientist Fu. I played Scientist Fu over own Fu, but I lost. It's fine. So it was only one loss. It was kind of early in the tournament, so kind of like I wish I didn't lose so early, but I did. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise. So round 4, I had a no-show. Yeah, it was very insulting that people go to events just to get tournament packs. They drive so far to get packs and leave the tournament round 4. I was X1 and I looked around. I was like, "There's nobody here," and it was very insulting that I would. Whatever, doesn't matter. So I got a free win. Then I used that time wisely. I began scoping the top tables to see what the competition was like, and it was exactly how I expected it to be, which was Mecha Apes and Mecha Veggies, and no GT because that deck's not that good, I guess. And of course, SSJ3, the leader that can only stand up to Mecha Frieza in this matchup. So after that round ended, before I just got a salad because I was hungry. I didn't eat it all. But by the way, I didn't eat breakfast. I just jumped out of bed because we were late, and we went to the convention center and thought it was the wrong one. So we went to there was another convention center about 2 miles away. So we went to that one. Turned out there was no convention center there. So we went back to our original position. My navigator wasn't very good at navigating. He's very stubborn, but that's fine. That's his problem, not mine. So round 5, I played Dr. Miyu. I anticipated I'd be playing a rogue deck because there's more people like me out there who metagame, who analyze the format and try to design a deck to beat the meta using obscure leaders and obscure strategies that aren't conventional and try to win with it. And this guy came up with Dr. Miyu, and just so happens the 2 rogue players are playing each other in the tournament. But it happens. Sometimes I don't think it's coincidental, but that's left up to conspiracy theories on ARG. But I don't believe them. Just don't quote me on that. So Dr. Miyu, I played. I lost the first game. I was very scared. I was like, "Oh my god!" I couldn't believe how much advantage they were getting so early. And the mistake I made in game 1 was awakening him too early. I was thinking maybe I can rush him and kill him, but that was the wrong strategy. So I quickly adapted to the strategy. And a little to my knowledge, he didn't play any cards that can self-awaken. So that gave me the advantage in that matchup. Being able to self-awaken is super duper important. So I grinded it out. Game 2. I just set a board until I drew my Fu, and then I played my Fu and I beat him, like, easy. That's how my deck should be played anyways, but for some reason fatigue set in and I did the wrong move game 1. So I let him double strike me and he killed me with Pan. Pan gives everybody double strike, even including the red leader, which I lost game 1 too. In game 3, I did the same thing. I grinded him out. He didn't have any cards to self-awaken, and then I won the attrition game because my deck's better at long-term strategy versus short-term. He was good at long-term as well, but I felt like my deck was a little better, slightly, just because of the way I designed it. So yeah, so that was my Dr. Mew matchup. The guy was pretty cool for his choice for deck. I respect people who can analyze things, and he was very analytical in his approach in deck building, and he got some notoriety from the tournament setting. He got streamed, and I didn't, but that's fine. I don't go to events so that I can get glory or notoriety. I come there so I can see how well I can do with the mentality that I have. So that was a Dr. Mew matchup. My next matchup was Veggies, and it was also a 1-2 loss. I was very disappointed. I thought my design for the deck was very well. In that matchup, game 1, which I lost, I destroyed all his Kabbas and his Khalifa with my Trunks. But he was able to build it back so quickly using Shigesh into Kaba again on my turn on the defense step. And I was very disappointed because I ran out of juice to kill the Kaba and the Khalifa engine. And every time he used Kaba, he always got Khalifa. It was like insane. I want to blame it on the warped cards because his cards were warped, because he shuffles it all the time and he sees his Khalifas and Kabas, and every other card wasn't warped. But I'm not going to call people on that. It is a little, it raises some eyebrows, but I'm not going to say that he's doing it purposely because that requires me to investigate, and I don't go to events to investigate. My mentality is to win, not to investigate intentions. That's on him, like I said. So I lost 1-2 to Veggies because game 2 I won because my deck did what it was supposed to do. And then game 3 he OTK'd me pretty easily. He didn't OTK me, but he brought out his stuff pretty early, and I just couldn't stop it. Mecha does Mecha things, Manaka and Planet Vegeta, their opening hand. Get that on 4 is pretty insane. I can't stop that. So I lost to Veggies, and then round 7 I played another friend of mine. He actually showed me his deck list before he decided to go to the event, and I looked at it and I said, I don't think this is the deck to play. I think you should go back to, because he and I were playing the same leader. We were playing Super Saiyan Goku 3, and I guess he just felt like he wanted to play Trunks instead. So he played Trunks, and I like my previous Trunks opponent. I beat my friend using the same strategy, which is attrition until I draw into my scientist, or Fu was shot into mystery, which is a cold wave, and I 2-0'd him. It's very pissy, like I play a card that lets me win the game. It's a little skillless, but it's definitely a good card. So for what it is. So I 2-0'd him, and then my next matchup was Apes. Before the beginning, I just want to say that before the game started, I always shake my opponent good luck, because in the end it's just a fun competitive game. It's intertwined, fun and competitive. It's hard. So I shook his hand, and he was playing Mecha Apes, and he looked at me. He said, "You're the only person in this tournament that gave me a firm handshake." Because I'm playing Mecha Frieza. And I said, oh, well, I have basic respect for anybody, regardless of what deck they play. And I respect you for trying to play the deck that gives you the best chance of winning. So I ended up 2-0ing him. And at the end of the round, or at the end of the game, he said that he'll continue to play the last round to improve my record, and it got me thinking. This game or in Swiss Robin, a lot of people don't have the basic courtesy to acknowledge their opponent as a human being, and I'm going to sound sentimental here, but I can look at it from a viewpoint of personal satisfaction. You want to be able to be civil with and cool with your opponent in every single round. Because if you are cool civil with your opponents every single round, they're gonna continue to play each round, ideally, to improve your record. Even if you lose or win to your opponents, you want them to keep playing each round because that they essentially improve your record. If you play in such a way that is uncivil and you don't want to shake your opponent's hand because you felt like the game was robbed, or there's so many reasons why sportsmanship is overlooked in this game, because they don't see outside their own selfish ways. They see, oh well, I lost and that's it, whatever. But you're playing an opponent, and they're going to be the ones improving your records as the tournament goes on. And when it comes and boils down to it, the one who is actually the most egregious in tournament matchups actually do better than those who are simply assholes to their opponents and made the experience more negative for them. And they will not less likely to come back to future events because of the way you acted. But they got me thinking after this Mecca Ape opponent that you have to be egregious, you have to be nice or civil. Otherwise, you're just not going to win. Well, unless you're just that good of a player, which is unlikely, considering that there only can be one winner in every event. So it's unlikely that you are the best player, statistically speaking. So anyways, I diverged. The next round was my last round, which was Veggie. So I needed to win this to get to top 32, and I won the first game, and then it blinded me into thinking that I could win the second, maybe even the third game. But it got down to game 3. I won game 1, so game 2 I lost, and then game 3 was a very intense game because it could go literally either way between me winning and getting to top 32 and me losing and going home early. Either way, it was beneficial. If I could get to go home early, I could do my homework early. I'm a college student. And if I win, I had to wake up early. And knowing me, I had a lack of sleep for the entire tournament because I was already late. And I would have to wake up at 8:15 for the top 32 matchups for single elimination. And I would have to sleep immediately when I get home without even eating. I didn't eat at all except for a salad for 9+ hours of the tournament. So I remember playing the attack order wrong. I tackled my leader first, and the crucial point, drew a card. I attacked to a tapped Khalifa, and I comboed 5K just so I can run it over, and he saves it. And then I summoned Fu, and then he crusher balls. So we had a ruling dispute. I called judge, and then the judge says, well, he played it on the counter timing window, so Fu activates still, but he's tapped when he comes in. I appealed it to head judge, and he said the exact same thing. So in hindsight, or not even in hindsight, reflecting back, I should not have attacked my leader first. I should have played Fu first, have him crusher ball, whatever, bloodless. Hopefully it wasn't bloodless, but if it was crusher ball, I'm fine with it. I would swing with my leader into the Khalifa, untap my mana with Unyielding Trunks, play Kaba, attack, because he only had 2 life left. Attack, and since he can't combo anything, or he can't activate anything because of Fu's ability, I would have won game 3, ascended to top 32. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. I did the attack order wrong, and I want to blame it on my fatigue, but I know it is my fault. I'll take the responsibility. But so I was out of top 32. We even after my sad loss, I still I still acted civil, and that's the most important thing. Because in the end, well, he actually he wrote down 2-0 as his win, and he acknowledges that he made a mistake. And since I was cool with him, he and I wanted to fix the results. So we got together at the scorekeeper table, and we told the scorekeeper, hey, we falsely reported the results by accident. Can we fix it? And the tournament organizer says, well, since you have already signed the paper acknowledging that you have a 2-0 victory, not a 2-1, there's nothing we could do about it. And in my mind, I thought, wow, that's just very untruthful. I mean, we're trying to report the truth, but I see where they're coming from. I guess because people collude together to alter the tie. But I don't see why reporting a 2-1 victory would be considered collusion, because it wouldn't help anybody. Well, it helped me a little bit, but it wouldn't help anybody in the long grand scheme of things. But I was really pissed at the tournament, or the way the tournament was organized. When I asked for a ruling earlier in my example, they didn't even give me a time extension. I had to ask nicely, and they only gave me 1 minute. And the attitude they gave me for a time extension was very inhumane. They treated me as a number as opposed to a human being. I felt that was very rude coming from the tournament, and I understand where they're coming from. They're on their feet all day and they have no break. But perhaps they should reconsider becoming a judge and knowing the responsibilities that they hold as judges and the integrity of the game that their duties are as a job duty. They should reconsider becoming a judge. And I know they're short on judges, but judges are very important people with important responsibilities. And if they cannot handle the responsibilities, they should not become judge, regardless of the incentives. Even if they're paid peanuts, it's still a high responsibility job. So that's just my message I have for the judges program anyways. For my point, I thought that was very, very rude from them, but that's just my point of view. You can take it as with a grain of salt, or you can take it as that's just something you just whiff away, like I'm just a number. So that was my matchups for the event. I still had fun. I really liked all my matchups. I thought I was pretty lucky. To recap, I played 3 veggies and I lost 1-2 to all of them. So I was onto something. I just couldn't break it, unfortunately. So that was my matchups. Now, next I want to talk about the quad color thinking in my next segment. Once I end this, I'm gonna get something to eat. So now I want to talk about the quad color thinking. So the concept behind playing 3 colors or 4 colors was because when you have access to more colors, you're able to do more things to deal with situations. Every situation in this game is definitely unique in a sense that if that strategy is too powerful to deal with the color that you're playing, then you should alter your strategies or play more different strategies in your hand. And this game allows you to get away with this a little bit better, because if you draw a card you don't need in a situation, you can simply charge it. And when you charge it, it becomes energy. So ideally, you want to design a deck that could deal with a lot of things in the meta, and at the same time advance your win condition. And that's very hard to do, because when you're playing more than 2 colors, charging certain cards over others is very very important. So that's what the concept behind quad color thinking. I haven't really acted like a scientist in this approach yet. I'm merely speaking from experience. Ideally, you should be able to access more colors. Good cards. So when I say good colors, I mean like look at all the red cards. If you want cards that could do early damage, like Kaba is the first thing that comes to mind. And then you have cards like Miraculous Comeback Gohan, Ability Unleash Gohan, which nets you advantage. I mean, having more access to colors is definitely helpful in the grand scheme of things when deck building. And each color typically doesn't have like a trait. Like green isn't associated with discarding, even though most cards there are other cards that in green that do other things like sniping, or I can't think of them right now. But that's just the concept behind quad color thinking. The other thing I want to talk about was shuffling categories. So my deck is purely Saiyans. They're all Saiyans, so that's the category that I've made for the deck itself. Even though it's 4 colors, I still use 4 different colors of Saiyans, which is great. that's showing that has synergy. You don't miss anything. Everything at your disposal you can do. The other category I wanted to do was by color. So design your deck to where if you play a battle card that needs 2 to 3 green, well, I'd advise against playing a card that needs 3 of the same color to play it. But if your deck needs 2 greens, or a battle card needs 2 greens, try to make the deck more green as the dominant color over the other colors. So if you noticed earlier from my deck profile videos, or from my deck profile, the red package only needed 1 red to play my battle cards. If all my blue cards only need 1 blue card, and all my black cards are colorless, so I just need overwhelm 2 cards. So the only thing I had to worry about was green. So that's why I had 18 green cards in my deck. And yeah, so you want to strike a balance between different categories when you sort them. So when I sorted them, I first sorted them by curve, mana curve, or energy curve, however you want to call it. The 1 drops, the 2 drops, 3 drops, 4 drops, and then I recategorized it to Saiyans and seeing if it has synergy, and then I recategorized it by color. So you want to keep recategorizing everything so that you have a fluid, dynamic deck, so that you can deal with situations when you want them to do, not by whenever it comes up. So that's called color thinking. And the last thing I want to talk about was the numbers. Statistically speaking, I use a calculator called the hypergeometric calculator, which is a statistical tool used to measure the odds of getting certain cards in your opening hand. I used it differently in this deck because the leader generates 2 mana off your life total. So if you're a statistician, you could essentially put the population size to 36, because it's 6 cards in your hand and then 8 in your total. So that's 14 cards out of your deck. So the remaining is 36 cards in your deck. So it was 44 population size, not 36, because I assume that the 8 cards out of my life total are still part of the deck. So when I activate Goku's ability, what are my chances of getting 2 reds, 2 greens, 2 blues, and 2 blacks? And then this calculator helps you calculate the odds of missing and getting the colors that you need when you want to start your turn, ideally. And the fifth thing, I forgot to mention. The fifth thing is you want to be able to structure your turns to where you can play something on turn 1, turn 2, and turn 3. So ideally, for my deck, I want to play Mighty Mask turn 1. Get 1 red, search, and then get 2. And then turn 3, I can play one of the turn 3 cards, or play 2 and 1. You want to structure your turns to where turn 1 you're doing something, turn 2 you're doing something, turn 3 you're doing something, turn 4 you're doing something, turn 5 you're doing something, and then finally on turn 6 you're doing something. That's deck building mindsets that you want to keep in mind. And it's going to be a lot of mental work when you're building a deck for meta-analysis, because you're building a deck from scratch using the card pools that are available to you. And using the card pool available to you either hinders you or enhances you, depending on how you want to think about it. So raise a lot of questions that you would have never thought you would ask yourself to deck build. I would never thought I'd use a calculator, a hypergeometric calculator, to help statistics of finding the 2 energy that I want out of my sample size of 2, because that's how much you're getting off of the card. So it's 2. Population size is 44. I even did it for Trunks, Bridge of the Future. What are the chances of getting a Saiyan off the top 2 of my deck? Everything is calculated. Unfortunately, I just didn't win the event because it was all about order of play. So yeah, that's all I want to talk about. Overall, I had a really good time. It was 500 players. The event was a little bit slow for me. We got home really late. We ate really late. sorry, we didn't get home. We were at we rented out Airbnb. I'm so sorry I couldn't film any of the living situation. It was awesome. I loved the Airbnb. Really cheap, cheaper than hotels, and I really gained a lot of advantage from in terms of affordability from using Airbnb. I highly suggest this to anybody who's a competitive card player or a competitive traveler or any sort of convention traveler. Use Airbnb. I don't agree with the prices that the hotels charge. I'm glad that the hotels are in competition with an app, even though the app is a little bit shady sometimes. But you take the good with the bad. And yeah, so the last thing I wanted to talk about was we went to Dave and Buster's at a mall nearby, and they had this little cool. I'm a huge Nightwing fan. They had a cool Nightwing card, and I saw it on the. I only like the one with the blue costume. I don't like the Nightwing with the red. I'm a blue fan. That's why I like Blue Leaders. That's why I like Captain America, because it's all blue. And so there was a kid who had like 20 stacks of cards, and I went up to him and I asked him, "Hey, how much would you sell me? How much would you sell me this Nightwing card?" And he says, "Oh, I don't know how much you want to offer." I was like, "Oh my god, this is like trading and buying at events, even though buying and selling is completely forbidden at events. But that's besides the point." So I offered him $5 and I got this. It was awesome. So that's why later when I wake, he's Nightwing. Yeah, that was pretty cool. So just want to share that with you guys. You can use the skills that you have in Dragon Ball and transfer it to buying cards off of little kids at an arcade. I thought that was funny. So yeah, that's all I want to talk about. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Peace.